It started with a notification. Not from my phone, not my watch. My fridge. Yeah, that dumb Wi-Fi-enabled smart fridge that my wife insisted we get because it syncs with everything. Apparently, everything included Betrayal. I was in my office upstairs, half listening to a webinar about regional compliance structures. Kill me, when my fridge sent a push notification to my desktop. I didn't even know it could do that. Refrigerator door opened. 2:13 p.m. Items removed. Chardonnay, chocolate mousse. Streaming speaker connected. Living room. I stared at the screen, confused. I hadn't even eaten lunch. And I was supposed to be home alone until 6. That's when something shifted in my gut. I know it sounds small, stupid even, but there was just something off about it. Rowena always works on-site until 5. She never takes midday breaks. And the mousse? I bought that for us. She doesn't even like sweets. I stood up, walked downstairs slowly, careful not to let the old wood creak too much. As I reached the landing, the music started. Low volume. Soft jazz. Saxophone of all things. The kind of music they play in hotel bars when no one's talking. I stopped breathing. Then her voice, laughing. Light, high-pitched. It wasn't the fake laugh she uses with the barista. This one was warm. Intimate. Real. I rounded the corner. The couch was empty. But 2 glasses sat on the coffee table, sweating with condensation. One lipstick stained. The other with a deep red fingerprint across the rim. Not her shade. My hands were cold. I didn't even speak. Just turned and walked back out the door, silent, numb, as if I'd walked into someone else's house. I stood on the porch for 10 minutes, pretending to scroll my phone. Then I texted her. Hey, you home? A full minute passed. Then, yep, just watching TV on the couch. Long day LOL. I looked through the window. The couch was still empty. I didn't go back inside. Not at first. I just stood there, on my own porch, staring at the text she'd sent. Yep, just watching TV on the couch. Long day LOL. That one word, couch, was spinning in my brain like static. Because the couch was empty. I'd seen it with my own eyes. And she wasn't watching TV. She wasn't even in the room. But she was home. I knew it now, because the speaker in the living room had paired with something called Lenovo Karma_77. That wasn't one of our devices. I knew every piece of tech in this house. I'm the one who set it all up. The fridge, the smart lights, the indoor security cam we turned off 6 months ago because it made the house feel creepy. Guess what? I turned it back on. I did it quietly, from my phone, while standing in the backyard like a ghost. I connected to the internal system, hoping it still worked. 1 bar of Wi-Fi. The last feed was from exactly 10 minutes ago. There she was, Rowena, wearing the robe I got her for our anniversary, curled up on the corner of the couch, head tilted, talking to someone off-screen. Her hands were animated, expressive, and she was smiling in that way she never smiled with me anymore. Soft, giggly, relaxed. The frame adjusted slightly. Auto-tracking kicked in, and a man sat down beside her. Not across. Beside. He didn't even hesitate. Just dropped into the space like it was his spot. He had that over-familiar posture, leg brushing hers, arms stretched across the back of the sofa. And she didn't flinch, didn't move away. She leaned in. The video had no audio, but it didn't need any. Body language says more than sound. Then she kissed him. Not a mistake. Not a drunk peck. A slow, intentional, intimate kiss. Her hand went to the back of his neck. His eyes closed like he knew her rhythm. Like this wasn't new. I sat down in the dirt. Literally, I just dropped onto the patch of gravel between our fake flower beds, my knees weak and my hands still clutching my phone like it was the only thing keeping me tethered to reality. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't even scream. I just sank. My phone buzzed again. Rowena, what time you heading home BTW? That's when it hit me. She didn't know I was already here. The fridge betrayed her. The camera confirmed it. But she still believed her illusion was intact. And I knew something she didn't. She wasn't cheating in secret anymore. She was cheating on camera. I didn't go in. Not yet. I couldn't. My body was frozen in this half collapse, like my muscles had staged a mutiny. The kiss I just saw replayed in my mind on a constant loop, and each time, it stung a little sharper. I wasn't even angry yet. I wasn't even hurt. I was stuck, trapped in the dumbest part of betrayal, the disbelief. The part where your brain starts scrambling for excuses on their behalf. Maybe it was a goodbye kiss. Maybe it's her cousin. Maybe I'm insane. But I wasn't. I knew what I saw, and what I heard next made it worse. A sharp laugh, muffled but clear, spilled from the slightly cracked living room window. I recognized it. Hers. But the second voice? Deeper. Male. Confident in a way I've never been. It wasn't the voice of someone sneaking around nervously. It was someone who felt welcome. Comfortable. I didn't know what I was doing until I found myself walking toward my car. Not to leave. Not to drive off dramatically into the sunset. I popped the trunk, grabbed the one reusable grocery bag I keep in there, and then I walked up to my own front door like I belonged there. Because I did. I opened it fast and loud, just like I always do when I'm carrying in groceries. Like it was just another boring Tuesday, and I'd gotten home a little early with a bag of deals. My keys jingled. My shoes stomped. Silence followed. They had seconds to react. That was all. Rowena's voice rang out first, way too cheerful. "Oh hey, you're back already?" I rounded the corner. She was alone on the couch now, sitting cross-legged with her phone in her hand like she'd been scrolling all day. The music was off. The wine was gone. The second glass missing. The scent of that cologne still lingered in the air, clinging to the curtains, like smoke after a fire. I didn't answer her. I walked past her, holding the empty grocery bag like it had some purpose beyond what it really was, a prop in my own house, in my own performance, because she was already starring in one of her own. "Didn't expect you for another couple hours," she said, stretching like she just woke up. "What's the occasion?" I sneezed at work. Coffee went flying. "Boss sent me home," I muttered, not looking at her. "Figured I'd grab wine on the way back. Thought we could finally watch that documentary you keep pretending to want to see." Her laugh was light, dismissive. "You're dramatic." I turned around then, just to see her face. And she looked exactly how I didn't want her to look. Normal. Like nothing had happened. Like no one had been here. Like she hadn't just wiped another man's mouth with the corner of her robe. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my eardrums. "Oh," I said. "By the way, the speaker connected to something called Lenovo Karma_77. That you?" Her face twitched. Only for a split second. But it twitched. She recovered fast. "Must be the neighbors. That thing always pairs with random devices. You know how glitchy it is." "Yeah, sure." That's when I noticed it, just under the edge of the couch. A sock. Not mine. Not hers. Too big. Too new. And just barely sticking out like it wanted to be found. I didn't pick it up. The sock. It just lay there like a loaded trap, daring me to touch it. Like if I held it, the reality would hit too hard and too fast. But even from 3 feet away, I could tell it wasn't mine. I wore black ankle socks. These were thick, tan, athletic. Definitely not something Rowena would ever wear. So whose were they? I knew the answer. Of course I did. But I needed her to lie to me first. I needed to hear it come out of her mouth. So I pointed. "Hey, what's that?" She glanced down like it was nothing. "HM? Oh, probably yours. You always leave stuff lying around." That was her first mistake. I never take my socks off in the living room. I hate bare feet on carpet. She knows that. She used to tease me for it when we were dating. "You have monk feet," she said once. "Always hidden, always clean." And now? She was gaslighting me about socks. I didn't even respond. I just walked into the kitchen and opened the fridge. Still chilled. The mousse container was there, empty, spoon still inside, smeared like it had been eaten in a rush. The wine bottle was back too, perfectly upright, but slightly lower than it was this morning. She had reset the scene, cleaned it, rewound it, hit play on the fiction she wanted me to buy. I came back to the living room and sat down, but not beside her. I picked the chair across from the couch, the one we never use, and just stared at her. She squirmed. Slightly. Then she tried her favorite tactic, distraction. "You okay? You look weird." "I just feel a little off," I said. Like I walked into a room I thought was mine, but something was moved. She blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I don't know," I said. "You tell me." Her jaw tightened. Not enough for someone innocent. Just enough for someone improvising. And that's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. Not directly. If she wanted to play pretend, fine. I'd play along. For now. But I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. The sock sat there for another day. I left it on purpose. Right there under the edge of the couch where it had first shown itself. Like bait. I wanted to see if she'd move it. Hide it. Acknowledge it. Nothing. She vacuumed around it the next morning. Carefully, methodically, but never once touched it. That told me more than any argument ever could. She saw it. She chose to ignore it. Because acknowledging it meant acknowledging him. I spent most of that day pretending to work. I took my laptop to the patio, scrolled through spreadsheets I didn't care about, while watching her shadow move through the windows. She didn't text anyone while I was around. No giggles. No suspicious calls. She was clean. A little too clean. That evening, after she went to bed early, said she had a headache. Of course, I did something I swore I'd never do. I went through her devices. Not her phone. She'd gotten smart about that. No, I went for the Bluetooth logs on our smart speaker, the one in the living room that synced to everything. She thought she was clever disconnecting at mid-kiss. But she forgot one detail. It stored a short-term pairing history. 3 names popped up. Ours. Her old work laptop. And one more. Lenovo Karma_77, guest device. There it was again. The same ghost signal from earlier. This time with a little more detail. Manufacturer name, IP range, last connection time. But what caught me wasn't the tech data. It was the name under last user. A default setting she had never bothered to erase. Hollis. That name sent ice straight through my chest. Because Hollis isn't just some guy. He's her mentor. A man she used to work under. The same man she insisted was basically married to his job and way too old for her. And yet, here he was, leaving socks, drinking wine, making playlists on my speakers, under my roof. I sat down, knees weak, fingers trembling. Not because I was shocked, but because everything I'd ignored, every time she'd stayed late, every time she'd rolled her eyes when I asked if we could do dinner together, suddenly snapped into focus. It wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't emotional. It was planned. And now, I wasn't just her husband. I was an obstacle. The next day, I did something I hadn't done in months. I offered to pick her up from work. Just casually, like it was no big deal. I told her my car was already downtown for a meeting, and I figured we could grab dinner after. Her hesitation only lasted a second. Then she smiled, or at least, tried to. Sure, that's sweet of you. She wasn't wearing the perfume she normally uses when she gets home late. That detail stood out to me immediately. Normally, when she works late, she comes home smelling faintly of something expensive and too floral for her taste, something I never bought. But today, vanilla and nothing else. Like she was trying to keep things simple. Scentless. I parked across from the office building where Hollis supposedly had his executive suite. Her office was 2 floors below his. I sat there for a while, engine off, watching. I didn't know what I was looking for exactly. Maybe them leaving together. Maybe a hug that lingered. A glance that confirmed it all. But instead, I saw her come out alone, holding a small, glossy white gift bag with red rope handles. That was new. She didn't see me at first. She was walking fast, head low, checking her phone. I waited until she crossed the street, then stepped out and waved. She jumped slightly when she saw me, then laughed nervously. You scared me. I nodded toward the bag. What's that? She froze for the slightest second. Oh, it's from one of the marketing girls. Birthday leftovers. Cheap soap and lotion stuff. She shoved it under her arm like it was nothing. I didn't press. Not yet. We went to dinner. Her idea? At some small fusion place she always claims is just okay, but orders from constantly on Uber Eats. She was unusually affectionate. She touched my hand while talking. She laughed at things I said that weren't funny. She complimented my shirt. It felt staged. All of it. Like someone trying to balance 2 worlds without tipping either one over. But the moment that broke me didn't happen at the restaurant. It happened 3 hours later, in our bathroom, when I heard the unmistakable crinkle of the gift bag being opened. I waited. I didn't make a sound. Then I quietly walked into the bedroom and found it sitting beside her purse, half open. There was no soap, no lotion, just a folded dress shirt. Men's, size large, still with a dry cleaning tag stapled to the collar. The initials embroidered near the cuff? H. G. Hollis. Goddamn. Gray. I didn't mention the shirt that night. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. I wanted to shout, to throw it on the bed and say, tell me, Ro. Tell me who he is to you when I'm not around. But instead, I did something worse. I kissed her on the forehead, told her I was tired, and went downstairs. I didn't sleep. I didn't even sit. I just paced the living room in slow circles like some haunted idiot who couldn't leave his own thoughts alone. That shirt, pressed, expensive, initials in gold thread, was practically laughing at me. What kind of woman lies about soap and lotion just to hide another man's laundry? By morning, I had a plan. Not revenge. Not yet. Just confirmation. She was running late, as usual, sipping coffee like she hadn't gutted me the night before. When she went to shower, I checked the gift bag again. The shirt was gone, but the tag, the dry cleaning stub, had fallen between the couch cushions. I grabbed it like it was evidence in a trial. And that's when I saw the address. It wasn't her office. It wasn't Hollis's either. It was a local corner cleaner we'd never used, one in the next town over. A place that wouldn't mean anything unless you were trying to hide a routine. Unless you didn't want someone to recognize your name. I drove there at lunch. Didn't even bother to pretend I had work. I walked in, handed the stub to the clerk, and asked as calmly as I could I get a printout of recent transactions tied to this ticket? He gave me a strange look, but tapped a few keys. Looks like it's part of a regular bulk order. Same name every Friday. Hollis G. We press and fold for pickup. Do you want to leave anything under his account? I said no. But inside, something broke. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mistake made in a haze of confusion. This was routine. Scheduled. Folded. Dry cleaned. I walked out and sat in my car with the paper still in my lap. 10 identical orders, spaced 1 week apart. Always on Fridays. Always under his name. And always paid with a shared card. Her card. That night, I made dinner. Her favorite. That dumb garlic pasta she always forgets she likes until I cook it. I lit candles. I poured wine. I smiled. She smiled back. And for the first time in weeks, she let her guard down completely. She laughed freely. She touched my arm again. She looked happy, because she had no idea I was done pretending. The following Friday, I woke up early. Earlier than her. I made coffee, brought it to her bedside like I used to back when we actually liked each other, and said, I'm heading out to run a few errands. Be back by dinner. She mumbled something and rolled over, completely unaware that her carefully constructed second life was about to come undone. I drove to the cleaners, waited in the lot until I saw him. Hollis, pull up in a black Audi like he was just stopping in for groceries. He walked in, came out holding that familiar red-handled gift bag, tossed it in his passenger seat, and drove off without a care in the world. I didn't follow him. I didn't need to. I had what I came for. The image. The proof. But more than that, the feeling. The calm. The certainty that I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't the paranoid husband she painted me as. When I got home, I sat down with my laptop and opened a new bank account. Quietly transferred most of my savings. Canceled my automatic bill payments. Ordered a replacement credit card and sent a few polite emails to remove her from my health insurance starting next month. Then I printed everything. The Bluetooth logs, the dry cleaning receipts, the camera snapshots, the text where she lied about sitting on the couch, and placed it all in a neat manila envelope. I left it on the kitchen table with a handwritten note. Just one line. I made dinner reservations, for one. I didn't yell. I didn't expose her publicly. I didn't destroy anything. I just left. I packed a duffel with my essentials, took the car she never liked, and drove to the beach town where my brother's been begging me to visit for months. That night, I sat on a quiet pier with a cheap beer in my hand, watching the waves roll in under a sky that finally felt like mine. No more guessing. No more waiting. No more pretending I was being loved when I was just being tolerated. A few days later, I got a message from her. Why are you being so dramatic? It was just a stupid mistake. I didn't reply, because something strange had happened. Without her around, I stopped second-guessing everything. I started sleeping better. I started laughing again. Real laughing, not the brittle, fake kind I used to do to survive. I even reconnected with an old friend I hadn't spoken to in years. We went hiking. She didn't call me clingy. She just asked if I wanted to go again next weekend. So yeah, maybe I wasn't supposed to come home early that day. But I'm so glad I did. Because it turns out, walking in on the lie was the first step to finally walking out of it.